So it rained a pretty good portion of the night last night. The ground was mostly dry. It was still that soft dirt, but it wasn't sloppy, muddy before it started raining. I was surprised when I got up this morning that the well was still clean. Now I've told you in the past, this is an old well. I got to say this for new subscribers. Of course, somebody's going to say, well, they should go and watch old videos, but they don't. So I always try to explain it, so just bear with me. Water can get dirty from groundwater because it's an old well, and they didn't sink that well casing down far enough back in the day. When it rains real hard or rains long periods of time, that well can get dirty. Well, it wasn't dirty last night. So I feel really good that I've fixed it up enough that 90% of the time the water's clean. A lot of people have different suggestions on what to do to make it better. I don't think anything will make it better, because if you understand how water works, up here on the hill, it doesn't matter. If this hill is dry and all the water is being shifted away from it, the water accumulates down the hill. Well, that means all the groundwater to the well, let's say that's 50 feet down, just as an example. For 50 feet down into my well is wet. So that water just kind of flows through the ground and down into the well. So it's just something I have to live with. It's not a huge issue. Like I said, most of the year I never have a problem with this well, which is a far cry from the first year. Didn't have the well house, the concrete wasn't poured. I didn't have the well packer in there. That was the big thing. I was worried that there was a crack in the well liner, the steel well liner. So I was worried that eventually that crack would expand and expand, and finally it would cave in on itself. Well, when I got the well packer in there, it doesn't matter if it's going to cave in on itself now. That well packer will hold it back with the 4-inch pipe PVC. Kind of drizzling right now, and so right now all I'm doing is filling laundry sinks, and then it's supposed to be dry for a day, and then it's supposed to rain again, I guess the day after next. So it's just raining, nothing we can do about it. It is a difficult time of year. I've said this many times in the past few weeks, that spring seems to be the most difficult time of the year living off grid. I mean, it's not a big deal. One of the problems with running the well like I have is that well always has to, the well pump always has to have water flowing through it. Otherwise you can cause a deadhead and overheat the well pump and you'll ruin it. So if I get a kink in my hose, there's no water flowing through that well pump anymore. It'll steam up as it's spinning, the well pump, and you can burn it up. The way people avoid that is they have a pressurized tank in the well house. We just can't do it that way because, like today, I wouldn't be able to use any water. Because it's cloudy, I wouldn't be able to run the well pump. Pressurized tank would go empty. So living off grid, this is the best solution. I just got to make sure that the hose doesn't get kinked or anything, so the well pump has always got water flowing through it. Not a huge issue, and you get a few seconds. I mean, it's not like the end of the world if it happens, and you just can't let it run for, a minute or two. So last year I told you that I got allergies really bad. I've gotten allergies quite a bit. I lived in this apartment a few years back that had a mold, and so I got mold poisoning. Doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I had all these hives, they couldn't figure it out. They put me on steroids, and it seems like that's all they know how to do. But they never did figure out what the issue was. Finally, with enough research, I figured out what the problem was. And ever since then, I've had pretty significant allergies. Well, last year, the allergies hit my head like a head cold, and it was miserable. I mean, it was day after day after day for a few weeks. It was just terrible. Head cold for a few weeks, sneezing and itchy eyes and couldn't breathe. And well, so I finally figured out that Flonase worked. Somebody at Dollar General was standing in line with Allegra, and she says, "Oh, I couldn't live without Flonase." I said, "Really? What's that?" She told me, and I got a line and went and got it, and it worked. Of course, it's got steroids in it, which is the downside of it. So last year, I got vertigo really bad. It was terrible one night. The room was shaking like this. That's what I was seeing. And I knew it had something to do with my inner ear. I was sure of it. I took a day off. I didn't do a video that day. And it was first time in, well, I guess been doing videos for 5 years. First time in 5 years that I took a day off. Even when the camper burned down, I did a live feed that day, just so everybody knew where I was at. When I took a day off, a lot of people were worried, but I couldn't stand up, I couldn't do anything. Well, I figured it out. I thought I figured it out. I figured that the Flonase caused it. What the problem was, I thought at the time, was I was running low in my one bottle. I had another full bottle. So I squirted the low bottle, and I didn't think there was anything in it. So I took a new bottle and I squirted it again. Well, then that night I got that vertigo. So I did all kinds of research. Well, Carolyn did, because I was having a hard time concentrating. I was so dizzy. Figured out that I overdosed on Flonase. That's what I was sure of. So I got off of it for a few days. Of course, the sniffles and head cold came back. And then I got back on it, and everything was fine, no big deal. Well, the other day, I don't know, 2 or 3 days ago, I took another spray in each nostril with it. The wind was up really high the other day, 40, 50 mile an hour winds. I was out there cleaning a well, draining the well out. I was just sneezing and sneezing and sneezing, so all that pollen was in the air. Well, even that night when I had my headlamp on, you could see the pollen just floating in the air. It was terrible. So I took a sniff of the Flonase. It was fine. And I haven't taken any since because I ran out. So we went to Dollar General, got another tube of it, or bottle of it, or whatever you want to call it. But I haven't opened it. I figured this year I was just going to use it as needed. Even though you're supposed to use it consistently, I was going to use it as needed. And I haven't really needed it. So last night I got up at 1:30, filled the water bottle for the chicks. I have a water bottle in there that's hot water. Since we don't have a heat lamp, I use hot water to keep them warm. So I get up every night at 1:30. I was fine. I don't know what time it was, but I rolled over and I got a more mild vertical. I didn't have that, the room was doing this. I didn't have that, but I was lightheaded. I definitely could feel it. And of course, I just assumed, oh, it was that Flonase again. But then when I got up this morning, it was still there, it was still present. I thought, wait a minute, there's no way it could be the Flonase. I didn't overdose on Flonase. That's what all the website says about it. If you overdose, this could happen, the vertigo. But there's no way I overdosed on it. I haven't had any in 2 days, so I just knew it wasn't that. The last time I didn't have any Dramamine, which is motion sickness medicine. I didn't have any. This time I do. So I took some of that, and it made the dizziness go away. The problem with the Dramamine is that even the non-drowsy, or less drowsy is what it's called, still makes you drowsy. So although I wasn't feeling the vertigo, the sleepiness was making me feel the vertigo. So I took a nap this morning and I was able to knock off the Dramamine effects a little bit, and I feel a lot better now. And I know it's in the inner ear. It's got to be, they say as you get older, the more infections, sinus infections and ear infections you have throughout your life, the more the inner ear gets damaged and it can get inflamed, especially during allergy season. Well, it's allergy season. I just found out Carolyn had hives last night. So her having hives and me having the allergies kind of makes me think that my inner ear has gotten inflamed and is causing the vertigo. It's a miserable feeling, but knowing what it's causing it makes me feel a lot better, that it's not too serious. And now I can take Dramamine and then take a quick nap and I'm fine. So I didn't have to skip a video today. I was thinking about skipping because it's just hard to walk around with that vertigo. Last time was pretty miserable. The problem last time was I couldn't get in the truck. I was scared to drive. It was pretty bad that I would get the vertigo while I was driving. We didn't go to the town to get the Dramamine until I felt better. The reason I bring this up is I'm the type of person that I got to get up in the morning and I got to get my day going. I just can't laze around. I have this really hard time just taking a day off, saying, it's no big deal. There's nothing important. I mean, I got an extra video on file if I need it. I mean, it's an old video, but I got an extra one on file. If I need it where I'm sick, I can just throw that one on there and I'd be fine. Stopping for an hour is what I did. I took an hour nap, which is really unusual for me. If I take a nap, it's 20 minutes at most and I wake right up. But this one was an hour and I did wake up and I forced myself to lay there because I wanted to feel better. And I laid there for an hour. Well, the little chicks in there started pecking at the box and I thought, well, I'm not gonna be able to sleep through that. So I got up, Boy, I felt 100%. It's nice to be able to, even though it's stressful for me, not to constantly be doing something. You know, just stopping is stressful for me. It is nice to be able to live in an environment where there's just nothing that important. If I didn't get the water filled, no big deal. I like to fill it every day to keep myself busy. But if I didn't fill it, I've got 2 weeks worth of water in the tank. It's not like I need to worry about running out of water. The chickens, I fed them last night. They're fine. I feed them every night. They got plenty of food for the day. It's not like I got to worry about the chickens, although I like to go down and talk to them and pet them and give them some corn. I don't have to do that. It's not important. I did take off from writing my script for the other channel. I have 2 channels, you know. I am a little stressed about that because I got to get another video up on Thursday. But there's time to write a script. It's no big deal. This environment is just really conducive to a healthy lifestyle. Even though I'm feeling sick today, I was able to stop to get back to healthy. When I was working, this would have been an impossible task. I would have had to go to work. I remember I went to work and the doctor told me I shouldn't go. Just don't go to work. He gave me a permission slip, but I had to go to work. They would not let me off. I was a manager. I was working 12, 16 hours a day sometimes, 7 days a week. And it looked like death warmed over. If you go to one of my very first videos, I'm sitting in the camper. We were building the camper up at the time. And you'll see my eyes were just dark and sunk in. And I would not have lived much longer if I hadn't got out of that job, I'm sure of it. Don't get me wrong, you have to have money. I have to work, but I don't have to work that hard. I can work in an environment where I can be at peace. So if you can check out the other channel, I'd really appreciate it. So I hope I can inspire you to be at peace when you're living your dream. Thanks for watching.